On the news, bandits and Boko Haram worked in alliance in Abuja-Kaduna train attack, federal government reveals. Bandits attack Zamfara community, kidnap 5 female students. And court lifts movement restrictions on Omoyele Sowore. We're glad to have you join us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. The federal government says the intense terrorist activities in the north, including the recent attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train, are being carried out by an alliance of bandits and Boko Haram elements. Responding to questions from newsmen after the virtual Federal Executive Council meeting, the Minister of Defense, Major General Basha Magashi, and the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed said the government is not folding its arms in the face of the security crisis, while explaining that disclosing details of the action plan to the media would be counterproductive. The ministers explained that the government is working at various levels to rescue victims of the Abuja-Kaduna train attack. Bandits have invaded a residential area in Tisafay town and abducted 5 students of the College of Health Science and Technology, Tisafay in Zamfara State. According to reports, the incident happened on Wednesday morning when heavily armed men stormed the residence outside the school campus, adding that the bandits could not gain entrance to the school due to the heavy presence of security personnel. Police authorities in Zamfara State have also confirmed the abduction, saying the command has deployed troops to trail the bandits and rescue the victims unhurt. Meanwhile, reactions have continued to trail the rise in attacks bedeviling the country. In its latest reaction, the Northern Elders Forum has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to resign for failing to provide security in the country. The forum lamented that it was disappointed that after nearly 7 years of being in office, President Buhari still has no answers to the nation's security challenges. Joining me on the news to discuss this further is Kabiru Adamu, security expert and managing director of Beacon Consulting Limited. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, what do you make of the recent revelations by the federal government that the Abuja-Kaduna train attack was carried out by an alliance of bandits and Boko Haram?
So it kind of corroborates what we already know. When the incident happened, the chatter around and that we've actually reported on is that this was a combination of both gunmen and terrorists. The modus operandi suggested that this is something that most likely the gunmen had the support of more sophisticated terrorist groups that are used to that type of modus operandi. It was a complex attack that combined the use of IEDs, gunshots, and then, of course, if the eventual abduction, and then even the fact that they were not demanding for ransom immediately, that's financial ransom. They did contact the family members, but they did not state any amount when they contacted the family members. Also suggested that it wasn't your everyday, bandits or gunmen that were behind the abduction. So yes, the government statement is kind of corroborated by what we already know.
Now, it's no secret that Nigeria is pouring billions into its security sector. I mean, defense and security got 2.41 trillion naira in the 2022 budget. But why have we not seen visible results despite these funds?
In simple terms, what we were doing is the analogy of pouring water into a leaking bucket. We don't have an accountability, system to check if those monies are actually being used for what they are being used. There is enough evidence, and this is documented, especially by Transparency International. Several civil society organizations in Nigeria, such as CISLAC, have documented in clear terms that there are leakages within the security sector. Not too long ago, a general was arrested where he had commissioned men to move cash almost about 4 billion naira, if I remember very well, and he was court-martialed and found guilty of that. So there are huge leakages within the system that suggest that what we're doing is just pouring water into a leaking bucket. For us to make sure that the monies that are being pumped into security turn out to be effective, we have to block those leakages, and the best way to do that is to improve on auditing functions within the security sector, as well as monitoring and evaluation mechanisms. That is the only way that would ensure the monies are being used for what they are meant for.
Now, quickly before I let you go, some groups have asked for the resignation of President Muhammadu Buhari. Do you think that is feasible at all? And is that even a solution to the problem of Nigeria's insecurity?
So, I mean, those moves are purely political. And frankly, in my honest opinion, and as a professional, we are gone past being political about security. Security is an existential challenge to the country at the moment. My consultancy has shown clearly that just in last month, the month of March, about 1,450 Nigerians were killed. So for a group to come and make such a political statement, I think it's actually unfortunate. There are better ways to handle such issues. As an example, a significant percentage of the persons that are holding positions in the security sector are northerners. And I think that group should hold them responsible, meet them, ask for accountability from them, ask for improvement in those services, or perhaps even ask for the president to fire them. That, for me, is a more, kind of responsive and reasonable request than asking the president to resign, something that we know he will not do.
Indeed, Kabir Adamu, security expert and managing director of Beacon Consulting Limited, thank you very much for your contribution. A court of appeal in Abuja has lifted a movement restriction on human rights activist and convener of Revolution Now, Omoyele Sowore. Sowore was in 2019 restricted to Abuja by Federal High Court following charges of treasonable felony and cyber stalking of President Muhammadu Buhari, among other offences. The appeal court, however, ruled that Sowore could now leave Abuja but not travel out of the country. The court added that the restriction of the 2023 presidential aspirant to Abuja was excessive and therefore lifted it. President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in commissioners for the National Population Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC. The swearing-in took place shortly before the commencement of the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House in Abuja on Wednesday. Speaking after the ceremony, one of the NPC commissioners, Eyitayo Oyetunji, assured Nigerians that the commission will not relent in its effort to make the proposed 2022 general census a success. He maintained that several efforts have been put in place by the commission to positively rewrite the history of the census through the conduct of accurate, reliable and credible census in the country.
I'd like to assure Nigerians that the National Population Commission is very much ready to do the census for two reasons. One is that we have already done the major preparatory activity, which is the one that we call the enumeration area demarcation. That exercise required that our people are in the field for more than a month at a time. If we could do that successfully, we have no doubt that we can do the actual enumeration, which at most is a week. Secondly, we're deploying a high-level usage of technology in this next activity. That technology is such, using maps that are satellite imageries and so on, gives us the assurance that this time around we will be able to do a census that is free from political manipulation, that is free from political controversies. So we'd just like to reassure Nigerians that the National Population Commission is indeed ready to conduct the census, and that this census is going to, having, like I said, participated in 2 previous censuses, I can assure that this census promises to be the most acceptable, the most accurate, and the most credible.
Lawmakers in the Senate have again passed the Nigerian Peace Corps Establishment Bill 4 years after President Muhammadu Buhari rejected the proposed legislation. The passage of the bill followed the consideration of a report by the Committee on Interior during plenary. Senator Suleiman Sadiq, in a presentation on behalf of the committee, explained that the panel consolidated the Nigerian Peace Corps Bill and National Unity Corps Bill into one for ease of advancing its work. Reacting to the passage of the bill, National Commandant of Peace Corps of Nigeria, Dixon Akol, applauded the Nigerian Senate. He added that the National Assembly had further demonstrated its commitment to creating jobs for Nigeria's teeming youth.
The core mandate of the functions of the Corps, among others, are to develop, empower, and provide gainful employment to Nigerian youth in order to facilitate peace, community services, volunteerism, nation building, maintenance of discipline at all levels of educational institutions in the country and related matters. The bill was given legislative support and it will be of great benefit to Nigerian youth, as many of them will be gainfully employed through the establishment of the Corps.
A bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Peace Corps to facilitate peace, volunteerism, community services, neighborhood watch, and nation building, and for related matters 2022 third reading taken, and this bill is also passed.
You can bear with me that most of the youth being arrested today for one crime or the other, though some may have the clear intention of going into crime, but some are pushed into this act. So when there is an avenue for this youth now to be preoccupied, it will enable them to contribute to the peace and security of our fatherland. We are not saying we are going to do more than what the people there are doing now, but at least the complementary role the officers and men of Peace Corps will play, especially in educational institutions that we do know, and we have it on record, that before the invasion and attack in school and kidnapping of students, we alerted the government at various state levels, and we have the document to prove. So if Peace Corps can be asked to take charge of the school and the neighborhood watch, I think the conventional security agency will not be belabored with as what we are witnessing today.
To cushion the effect of rising price of commodities in the country, especially during the Easter and Ramadan period, the federal government has ordered the release of about 40,000 metric tons of assorted grains from the Strategic Grains Reserve. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Abubakar, disclosed this while addressing State House correspondents after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday in Abuja. According to the minister, the distribution process would replicate the model used during the COVID-19 lockdown, where federal government distributed 70,000 metric tons of assorted food items across some states and the Federal Capital Territory. Our correspondent, Mojisola Matomi, tells us more in this report.
It's been a month and 3 weeks since the start of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which has led to loss of lives and properties. Also, the war has affected the exportation of wheat from Ukraine, being the largest exporter of the staple. However, in a bid to reduce the impact on the reduction of wheat imports, the Nigerian government has resolved to look for alternative suppliers of grains amid the war.
We have met 2-3 times to discuss the issue of Ukraine. Yes, indeed, Nigeria imports grains and other agricultural input from Ukraine. We are making sure that we look inward and outward to make sure this conflict does not affect our agricultural sector. Inward, looking at even fabrication of certain equipment that we can do. Also, surveying and looking for areas that we can even produce our own fertilizer, because we have the mineral deposits that are precursors to fertilizer production.
To aid the country's agricultural development, the president approved the release of grains from the country's strategic grain reserve to cushion the effect of the high price of food commodities in the country.
To cushion this during these festivities, Ramadan, Easter, Salah, so that there will be a little cushion for the people during these festivities. Not just as the Federal Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, but also that we'll be giving some of these grains also to the Humanitarian Ministry also to also do the same distribution. The grain is coming from our grain strategic reserve directed by Mr. President.
Speaking of the rising insecurity in the country, which has affected the agricultural production, the Minister of Agriculture assured that the government is doing its best to prevent a decline in food production.
There is really no sharp drop in productivity or in agricultural production. There is still food, and people are still cultivating in all parts of the country. Some of the areas where it has some security implication, yes, may have a little drop, but the government is doing everything humanly possible to make sure that production continues in other parts, and even areas where there are issues, the government is doing whatever it takes. Like the Ministry of Agriculture, we have agro rangers who sometimes provide some kind of security cover that will make sure food production does not stop.
At the end of the third quarter of 2021, data from the National Bureau of Statistics showed that Nigeria imported durum wheat and mackerel worth 88.46 billion naira and 30.69 billion naira respectively from Russia. Mojisola Matomi, TV360 News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has revealed that over 45% of the total number of registered voters is invalid. The chairman of INEC, Mahmood Yakubu, made this known during a press briefing in Abuja. Yakubu explained that over 1.3 million permanent voters card are valid, adding that the commission will continue to clean up the voters register. The INEC boss also raised fears on security challenges in the country, but assured that the commission is working with the security agencies to guarantee a violence-free 2023 elections.
It seems that many registrants, either out of ignorance that they do not need to re-register if they have done so before, or a belief that our systems will not detect this infraction, have gone out to register again. This is despite repeated warnings by the Commission against this illegal action. In addition, there are also registrants whose data were incomplete and did not meet our business rules for inclusion in the register. Both categories, that is the failure of ABs and incomplete data, constitute invalid registrations. Presently, nearly 45% of the completed registrations nationwide are invalid, rising to as high as 60% or more in some states. This infraction happened in all states of the Federation. No state is immune from it. These invalid registrations will not be included in the register of voters.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, U.S. President Joe Biden accuses Putin's forces of genocide in Ukraine. Details of this story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. The federal government says the intense terrorist activities in the north, including the recent attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train, are being carried out by an alliance of bandits and Boko Haram elements. Responding to questions from newsmen after the virtual Federal Executive Council meeting, the Minister of Defense, Major General Basha Magashi, and the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed said the government is not folding its arms in the face of the security crisis. We also told you that bandits have invaded a residential area in Tisafay town and abducted 5 students of the College of Health Science and Technology, Tisafay in Zamfara State. Police authorities in Zamfara State have also confirmed the abductions, saying the commanders deployed troops to trail the bandits and rescue the victims unhurt. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. The Ministry of Health of Uganda said that the country now has only 2 hospitalized COVID-19 patients, a sharp decline when compared to the 435 patients admitted earlier this year. The Ministry's Director of Clinical Services, Charles Olaro, revealed this to newsmen earlier in the day. Recently, there has been a steady decline in the number of confirmed cases of the infections in the country. Health experts in the country have since attributed the decline to the increase in COVID-19 vaccination coverage and the mild Omicron variant of the coronavirus. We'll take a breather here and return with more stories and business. To stay with us. Welcome back. Well, Simi Saladigona joins us for more stories and business. Over to you, Simi.
Thank you, Folashade. Welcome to business. The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has warned MultiChoice Nigeria not to dare the federal government by going ahead to hike the tariffs of its products while the matter is yet to be investigated. Inaugurating a 7-member ad hoc committee of the Senate headed by the Senate Deputy Chief Whip Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, the Senate President warned that no foreign operator in the country should take Nigeria for granted. On his part, the chairman of the committee, Aliyu Sabi, said investigations into the activities of the pay TV service providers is long overdue, as their activities have over time robbed Nigerians of their hard-earned income.
The incessant hike in tariff without recourse to constitutional authorities is a thing of great concern that calls for questioning. Just last week, the Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal sitting in Abuja, acting on expert motion by concerned citizens, restrained DSTV from the tariff increase though yet to be complied to by the DSTV. Distinguished colleagues, this investigation is an opportunity to right the wrongs and bring these service providers to operate within the confines of the law as sustainable outside the shores of the country and within what is our standard as a country.
Let me be very clear at this point. We are going to take on any operator who decides to charge Nigerians tariffs that are not charged anywhere outside this country. And I also want to add here that any operator, especially foreign, who doesn't want to respect and obey our laws should leave. After all, it's only in this country that most of these operators behave the way they do, whether they're telecoms or DSTV or whatever.
We will go on a short break here and be back with stock market review. For the third day running, trading closed on a positive note as all-share index climbed 0.34% to close at 47,367.31 basis points, while market capitalization still stands at 25.5 trillion naira. Positive sentiments are sure paying off so far this week. 108 equities participated in trading, ending with 31 gainers and 16 losers. Our market summary sees 391 million volume of shares valued at 3.95 billion naira, exchange hands in 5,419 deals. The markets on our select global stocks, UK's FTSE, US Dow Jones and Japan's Nikkei, also ended on a good note. All three of the stocks ended in the gainers territory at 0.55%, 0.63% and 1.93% 1% respectively. Generally, global shares traded up on Wednesday after a 6-day slump amid investor optimism despite lowering inflation forecasts, while supply concerns following Russia's invasion of Ukraine helped push oil prices higher. That's all on Stock Market Review. We'll go on a short break now and be back with the rest of the news.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
On the foreign scene, U.S. President Joe Biden has accused Russian forces of committing acts of genocide in Ukraine, saying Russian President Vladimir Putin was trying to wipe out the idea of a Ukrainian identity. Biden has previously stopped short of references to genocide, instead accusing Moscow of war crimes. But in a televised broadcast on Tuesday evening, Biden insisted that evidence of genocidal acts by Russian troops keeps mounting. Reacting to the accusation, the Kremlin has condemned Biden's comments, saying it is an unacceptable effort to distort the situation in Ukraine. Up next is Entertainment Reporter News Now.
Grail Studios has unveiled first-look images from the ongoing principal photography of its first film of 2022, Brotherhood. The movie follows the story of twin brothers Akin and Wale, who, after years of fighting to survive on the streets of Lagos, fall on opposite sides of the law, with Akin joining the police force and Wale joining a notorious gang of robbers. Their bond is, however, put to the ultimate test when Akin joins a task force that hunts down Wale and his gang. The feature-length film, which marks the first collaboration between the studio and top Ugandan filmmaker Lukman Ali, is currently being shot in Lagos, Nigeria. Former Big Brother housemate Toby Bakary and rapper Falz are cast as twin brothers Akin and Wale. Nigerian socialite Obi Kubana received an overwhelming show of love when he celebrated his 47th birthday in grand style on April 12. Several fans, business associates and politicians all showed up to celebrate the nightlife boss with 13 cakes on display. Celebrities Don Jazzy, comedian AY, as well as fans and well-wishers have trooped to his Instagram page to comment on the birthday video he shared and wished him a good year ahead. That's all on the entertainment segment of News Now.
Away from entertainment and out to sports, there was panic across social media platforms on Wednesday after former Super Eagles striker Emmanuel Emenike posted a video of himself receiving treatment in an unknown hospital and lamenting his health condition. Emenike was the top scorer with 4 goals when the Eagles won a third Africa Cup of Nations title in 2013. But the 34-year-old forward is experiencing a twist of fate as he is currently battling an ailment which, according to him, seems serious. Emenike, however, did not state the nature of his illness. And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.